All right, it is 4:33. It's 4:33 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's your girl, Kaj Taylor, aka Miss Go, for the Get It Back in Blood podcast. I sit here one day. I literally sit here and try to put together in my mind, where can I start with the research? Where can I start with the research, the proposal, and the action that Nelson Mandela took to free his country of apartheid? Oh, this is the Africa, Mother Africa segment of the podcast. There have been many Back to Africa movements for a very long time. Every Negro in the United States decided that they needed to go back to Africa, Mother Africa, to feel alive, to feel like they are finding their worth, their culture, and who they are. So they plan on going back to Africa because the white supremacy was so bad on them. But then I tell you like this, you have to be careful who you let lay hands on you as far as preachers and pastors are concerned. People that call themselves apostles. You have to. You don't supposed to go and let everybody lay hands on you. Laying on of hands is not it's not like we say when we get to fighting somebody, Not them type of hands, but you know what I'm saying. There are so many people that are fighting for power, for themselves, that they are doing all kinds of sinister things in order to get power, acknowledgement, and esteem. To Get It Back in Blood podcast, I'm going to go over a couple of things with you. Most Americans and most Africans that immigrate to the U.S. do not see eye to eye. Africans tend to have a superiority complex that some Americans feel is like too much. If you're coming from our homeland, you're supposed to embrace us. You're supposed to support us here, since you sold us in treacherous war tactics to the Europeans to be over here in the United States as slaves. Let me tell you my definition of a slave. My definition of a slave is a captive held against his or her will, forced to work for the benefit of another human being. You know what I mean? So, when you made us be forced to leave our homeland, our ancestors to leave our homeland to come to the United States to work under another individual human being as a slave, someone that they wasn't going to get compensation for their work. Now, that's not like an intern. An intern is there for experience so that they could go on and do other things. A slave is a person they disrespect, and have no regards in harming, because they feel superiority over that other human being to where they can break them down. Damn it. Most Africans also have that mentality as the slave-owning white man. They're not very nice. Apartheid was a racial war. It was a features war, meaning when we say your features, we mean your looks. That was a war all about your looks. Even after apartheid was over, the policing of the Africans in the continent of Africa is heinous and really, really hard by other Africans. The slaughtering of the people, it seems not to be illegal. And they feel as though they can come anywhere in the world and do that. The United States is not supposed to be built on those foundations that the continent of Africa is going through. I don't trust the African that much. Freedom is Coming is a song that's from the Serafina movie soundtrack. Serafina came out in the early to late 90s. I remember being a little girl when the movie came out, and my mom sat down with me and we watched Serafina. And I remember I loved that song. The singing in it was just wonderful, and that was my favorite song from the movie, Freedom is Coming. So, with the work of the United Nations and people that have put forth the effort, and they did, I believe that their work is not in vain, because they were able to make great progress. They were able to make great progress in a lot of areas, but I need you to understand the mentality of blacks in the United States. Some of these men have a treacherous domestic violence mentality against the women in the community. Then they giving white men and men of other races the privilege to also enact their domestic violence on the women and children in the minority community who are descendants of said slaves, because they want to feel like they're powerful. If the only way that you can feel powerful is to enact violence on other people, then you're not shit to me. Innocent people, to be exact. Innocent people. The state and the mentality of the African man is different from that of the black man. One thing about the African man, he don't have to do that. The ones that come to the U.S., they don't necessarily have to enact violence or domestic violence against women in the minority community. They just don't deal with us. Or they talk to you nasty or whatever. They talk to people nasty. When I say nasty is a frame of personality trait. That's a personality trait that is not kosher, doesn't have any cool or any respect when they speak to people. I feel that a person that'll disrespect you like that, whether they know you or not, they will harm you. I feel that. I really feel that. Respect was supposed to take me further in this life than anything else. Everything that we've ever been taught as U.S. descendants of slaves turned out to be a lie from the Bible, but not because the Bible was a lie, but because the people that want to continue to manipulate us into their will have decided to use brute force. They decided to use violence, harassment, kidnapping, as if they're supposed to be able to do that here in the United States. The United States feels as though they have to kiss Africa's ass for some reason. We feel like we have to kiss Africa's ass. Why do you need to kiss the ass of the motherfuckers who sent the people over here? They ain't here. They didn't go through slavery. It doesn't make any sense what the U.S. does. You know what I mean? Why you feel you got to do that to them? Well, for them. Why do we feel like we have to give to them? They have it to where we have to constantly give to them. They have it set up to where you can't get anything as an African American person because it's all going to Africa. And the bitches is rich. Who's going to be the next Mandela? I have no idea. But I know they slaughtered Mandela's family and still carry on as if they doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Every woman, every person in his household is now deceased. And it's not from old age or anything like that. It's because you have a jealousy against people who make a positive social impact on the world. You have a superiority complex to where you feel as though you're Mandela, like you put the work in, like you did it all, and you did not do anything. Desmond Tutu, just because Desmond Tutu, his wife is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, did not give him or her the right to slaughter Nelson Mandela's family to be at the forefront of any business or any social impact that they did not help to create. The arrogance of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority members is far beyond sinister acts of a sociopathic organization. They're a organization of sociopaths. You have starving children in the U.S. You have children that have gone missing. And you want to specifically focus on being a social impact of a negative persuasion. You want to be a tyrant, a dictator. Dictatorship is not a part of democracy. But Kamala Harris is a dictator. She wants to be a dictator. A diplomatic person and a dictator is two totally different things. Most Libras, you say you don't like a Libra, and you're using the excuse that a Libra is diplomatic. We can be diplomatic all we want to, but we're not tyrants. And we're not, you know. Diplomatic personalities would be easier to deal with than a tyrant like Kamala Harris. I'm not voting either way. And that is because I don't have a candidate running that I feel fits properly there as the next president and vice president set of people. This bitch done killed us and our motherfucking children, bitch. She has a superiority complex as a Jamaican. Jamaicans are high above the drug trade, and so is the Haitians and people like that come into this U.S. and commit murders and acts of violence against U.S. citizens. But I don't feel like the U.S. wants to really clean up the acts of violence that goes on in the communities. That's nothing. That's no reason. That's not the reason they become a cop. That's not the reason they join the military. That's not the reason that they go sit at a government job or become a judge or none of that. You know? And we'll talk more about that in the next segment of the podcast. My name is Kaj Taylor, a.k.a. Miss Go. Get It Back in Blood pod series. I'll be back after these messages.